Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. We have a great turnout today. It is my pleasure to introduce Beth. She is with Proximity Marketing, and she is going to be talking about the very controversial topic of AI today, which we all need to learn about because it is certainly here to stay. And this is going to be a really fun presentation. She's even going to show you some things later on that are right in the moment of her using AI. So I'm going to turn it over to Beth.
All right, wonderful. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. So I live in Wadsworth, too. This is the first time that I've ever stepped inside the Soprema Center, so this is awesome. I know. I'm sorry. So thank you all for having me. Like Tammy said, I'm here to talk about AI. And like with anything, there's good things about it, and there's some not so good things about it. But today we're going to be primarily focused on the fun ways it can be used, but also then talking a little bit just about things to be aware of and perhaps not use AI for. So what is AI? How many of you have some familiarity with AI already? Fair amount, okay. How many have actually used it? Used it in like ChatGPT or something along those lines? Okay, all right. So a few other questions too. How many of you have like Alexa at home? Okay. How many of you use Siri on your phones? Okay, good to know. Vast majority of us anyway. Yes, well, I mean, Google does count now because if you're Googling anything, you're likely seeing now that in the search results for Google, and a lot of searches, not all of them, there's an AI overview that will come up first. Yeah, so I find that very helpful anyway. So ultimately what is AI? One of the things that I actually used AI for was to write a description of what exactly AI is. And what it turned out was essentially describing AI as a very helpful, very smart, very fast stranger. Somebody who's very obviously knowledgeable, somebody that that learns a lot through reading books, through reading websites, through combing through the internet and other information. And it can talk, it can look at pictures, it can watch videos, it can listen to audio recordings, and it takes all of that information to then churn out answers to us when we use it. It's learning real language models. So whenever it's answering us in however we want it to churn out those answers. Because oftentimes I'm using it to dumb things down for me. I'm asking it to take something that's maybe over my head, complex, and simplify it for me. So it's very good at breaking down things in very simple language. But like any stranger, you should be careful with what you share with AI. Things that you should never, put into AI whenever you're asking it a question or asking it to explain something to you is any sensitive information. Banking, passwords, medical information, that type of thing. Something that is very specific to you, because we don't want it to accidentally be able to pick up account numbers or social security numbers, anything like that. But it is a very helpful tool. So this is why I asked all those questions at the beginning, because obviously we've been using a lot of these things in our lives for years. People talking about AI has something that has really come on the scene the most strongly in the last couple of years. And things like ChatGPT, other platforms that you might have heard of, like Google's Gemini. And there's a bunch of other, potential tools out there that you can use. But these things have been in our lives for years. I mean, I think the Amazon Alexa that we have at home, we've probably had for at least the last decade, that we've been using. And all of these things are running on AI. We're asking it to create shopping lists for us. We're asking it to remind us about appointments. We're asking it what the weather's like. So these are already tools that we're using in our everyday lives. Yeah?
Well, if these are things we're using in our everyday lives, why did they think it's important to tell us about it now?
Well, I think AI has expanded in its capabilities. I think AI has definitely grown in what it's able to turn around as far as data and information. And I think what we're using like Siri and Alexa for are oftentimes very simple questions, and how we're able to interact with it is a little limited as well. Like you're not able to upload documents onto Alexa. You're not able to necessarily, share those photos with Siri. So it's very different how you're using like a Chat GPT than maybe some of those platforms that are still using AI to generate real-time answers to us and talk to us, but it's not nearly as maybe sophisticated in what it can do as some other platforms. So are any of you using like Alexa or Siri to do these things in your lives now?
Yes.
Yeah. I do it. I do it nearly religiously. I have a calendar in my phone that I set up reminders and alerts for. If I didn't, I'd remember nothing. I have way too many tabs open at this point in my life, so my short-term memory is shot. I have to have reminders set up for pretty much everything. I use Amazon Alexa to remind me to take out the trash every week. That sounds ridiculous, but I can't tell you how many times either my husband or I have woken up at 2 o'clock in the morning when we hear the garbage truck outside and say, and then run downstairs to take the trash can out. So that's happened a lot. But yes, if I didn't have these things in my life, they are tremendously helpful for that. And this is just an example. So we were talking also about Google. So Google is obviously returning AI responses as well in those overviews. This particular example that I typed in was just how frequently should I be seeing a dermatologist? Because that's one thing too that I think it's nice that Google now has this AI overview, because I felt before it was difficult to get an answer using Google in these types of questions. If you're looking for a business, like show me the best Italian restaurants near me, Google's great about pulling that up and showing you a map, and you can see exactly where they are, and you can see how they're rated, and you can see all that information quickly within Google. But if you asked it a question like this, all it would return to you normally were just a bunch of websites. And then it's on you, it's your job then to click through all these websites to then try to read what they're offering as far as their information to try to get the answer to how frequently should I see a dermatologist. So the AI overview is immensely helpful because it just immediately generates an answer to that question. You're able to see what it's combed through websites to then compile as an answer to that question. So other helpful ways to use AI. So something too that is tremendously helpful is, like I had mentioned before, breaking down the complex. Using AI to maybe help decipher confusing technical information that we all receive. I receive test results back from a doctor, and I'm reading them in my chart, and I don't know what they mean. I have no idea. It doesn't even sound like English to me. It's like I need somebody to explain this to me, and who knows when I'm going to get the doctor on the phone again. So, it's copying and pasting some of that information. Again, not the real sensitive part, nothing that, ties that back to you personally, nothing with account numbers or anything along those lines, but, copying and pasting some of that information and then asking, AI to help explain this to you. Put it in simple language. Tell me what this means. And then you can even ask it follow-up questions, like if you had something like that, you could even ask AI then, tell me what this means. Now tell me what questions I should ask my doctor the next time I'm on the phone with them. So it's tremendously helpful in that regard. Other things too, confusing emails that you might get from utilities or insurance, anything along those lines that might be using language and phrasing that just don't make any sense to you because they're talking in their terms and in their language, and quite frankly, it's just not built for, normal people outside their industry. But that's something too, even preparing for a doctor's appointment. I'll tell you that my mom, who maybe even some of you have met along the lines, she came to the Soprema Senior Center a few times, Jackie Blackburn, and she only lived in Wadsworth for maybe 6 or 7 years, and I went on a lot of her doctor's appointments with her, and one of the things that was really my job was to listen and ask questions. Because if you're like me, when I'm on a doctor's appointment by myself, I don't know where my brain goes. I really don't. I don't know if I'm just so concentrated on listening that I forget I actually can talk too. But you're listening and you're trying to absorb and you're trying to remember everything that's being said to you, and then you forget to ask the questions. You forget to ask them things, and then once you leave, you're like, oh, I forgot to ask. So that's something too that was tremendously helpful. It's walking into appointments, being prepared. If you have an idea of what you're going to be talking about what you're meeting about, if they're talking about something, a diagnosis, a test, whatever it might be, a change in your lifestyle. Being able to use AI to explain, hey, I'm going to the doctor's. This is what it's for. This is what we're going to be talking about. Help me prepare and walk away with good answers. So what questions should I be asking my physician when I meet with them? And it'll churn out a bunch of questions, half of which might be completely irrelevant or unnecessary. But there's going to be some in there, no doubt, that you'll be like, oh, that's a great idea. I should most definitely ask him or her that question. Yeah.
So where do I go to ask AI a question?
ChatGPT.
Where do I go to ChatGPT?
Escape. ChatGPT.com.
I'm sorry?
ChatGPT.com.
So go to the computer.
Yes. Yeah. Go to the computer. This ChatGPT, like this, is also an app that you can download on your phone. So similar to a lot of things, like even just Google.
Can you put it in Alexa?
Probably not.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think Alexa is going to be as helpful. But yes, like ChatGPT.com. That's where you would go. You would go here, and this is exactly where you would type in that information. Yep.
Is that what Al Beta is? Sometimes this little thing will come out on my phone and it'll say AL, BETA, or BGO.
It's probably AI beta.
Okay, is it so, because I never do it. I'm just so, it gets on your phone, you are screwed.
That's not Google's. Google's is Gemini.
Yeah.
Okay, she was asking about AI beta, that sometimes AI beta comes up on her phone as a potential,
It's a little bitty thing that just comes in the corner.
Just remember to repeat the question.
Oh, sorry, yep.
The question,
Yeah.
you can repeat it.
When someone asks a question, could you repeat the question
Yeah.
first before you ask
Yes.
it?
Yes, sure. Yeah, she had asked what AI beta is. I guess it's something that comes up on her phone sometimes.
It's a little bitty thing that comes out, like a little bubble on the side. I never do anything with it because
Okay. What kind of phone do you have, if you don't mind me
I
asking?
have a
Like a Samsung?
Yes.
Okay, Samsung.
something, I don't know.
Okay, yeah. So
Smarter than me, I get these phone calls on it all the time.
I don't know if that might be so how iPhones have Siri.
Yeah.
That could potentially be like Samsung's AI tool that's maybe standard on those phones that probably functions similar to Siri. So if you need to ask it a question, it's there. But that's my guess, but I'm not a Samsung user, so I'm afraid I'm at a little bit of a loss
I
there.
used to be able to push a button and I could turn my phone off.
Yep.
Now I've got to say, turn my phone off, and then it'll turn it off. I can't push that button anymore.
Oh,
Yeah.
so now it's just voice
Well,
recognition.
see, and sometimes I can make calls, and sometimes I can't hang up on them when I'm done.
But where to go when you want to play around with AI? Starting here would be a good place. And there are a lot of other platforms besides ChatGPT. This is probably the most well-known one. Yes.
How do you know the information is correct?
So she asked, how do you know the information is correct? So AI is not always right. I mean, AI is not always right. It's going to provide you answers, and because the thing about AI is that AI is learning from all the information that is out there in the world. Whether it's the internet, which we all know the internet is frequently wrong. So all of the not valid sources that are out there. So, and that's the unfortunate part, is that AI is learning from everything, not just the smartest people, all the people. and so there's a lot of things that still need to improve in AI. I think the results that it churns out is really only as good as the information that's being put in. And it will continue to get better. It'll continue to become more accurate, smarter. But there's a lot of things that it does have to overcome, because there's a lot of misinformation out there in the world. There's a lot of misinformation even in textbooks, even obviously all over the internet, everywhere where it's pulling information and learning from. And so it takes our good habits, and it also takes our bad habits, and it's learning from that. So I mean, I know very much so early on in AI use cases. I know whenever we would be using it, even at the marketing company that we work for, we'd see bias in AI search results. We would see that constantly. So AI is not always right. I mean, especially whenever you are asking AI things that are, really important. If you're asking AI to help you, maybe look at a contract or an agreement that you're getting ready to sign, and you want AI to generate some questions back to you to ask that contractor before signing that agreement. If you're asking it to evaluate a medical diagnosis or anything related to that, you're always going to want to fact check. You're always going to want to double check.
Well, where does that information go? And is it stored?
Whatever you type in? Well, yes. I mean, that information, anything that you're putting into ChatGPT, unless you would have like a pro level account, so unless you would have a paid account, because ChatGPT is free. Just like Google, you can type anything into ChatGPT right now anyway, it's free, and get an answer. But like anything else, there's like other subscription levels of this that you can pay to have, and in those cases, you have your own protected account. Nothing that you put into that could possibly be learned from with that AI. Because you have to realize AI is using not only what's already out there in the internet and in the world to learn how to return answers, it's also learning from us. It's learning by the information we're putting into it. It's learning by the questions we're asking it. It's learning by it's learning how we want that information said back to us. So it's learning from us with the information that we're putting in, unless you would have an account or a subscription to like a ChatGPT that would be, gated for just you, meaning that anything you put in.
I hate to take up this, but I've wanted to ask these questions a long time. Is AI, really a person behind it, is getting your information, correct?
I don't think there's any one person behind AI. I mean, there's obviously there's a company, right? I mean, it's just like Google. Google's a company. So, and there are teams of people that work at these organizations, but this is built to be self-sustaining. This is built to not have human intervention. So on the other side of us at this organization, they're busy doing things like, releasing new versions of this and improving its functionality. They're not over there behind their monitors looking at everything that we're typing in and recording down that information. Now, with this said too, related to just maybe concerns over privacy. There's platforms too that I hear advertised all the time. DuckDuckGo, for instance. I don't know if that's a browser, a search engine that you use very often, but they now have an AI tool as well. And the thing that they tout, just like their browser, is that they don't share that browsing history. It's not used to serve ads to you or anything along those lines. So their AI platform is also built with that model that whatever you type into AI is not going to be used to feed that algorithm to turn back answers to other people, that your information is private. Just a thought.
There's been a few lawsuits recently because AI answers questions to children, for example, or teenagers, and they're kind of off the path, and some have committed suicide and things like that. So they're monitoring much closer now to make sure AI doesn't do that. What they put in it, if somebody's idea of what everything is or what's in the books or whatever, but AI got off the guidelines, and it tells things to people that they don't really need to know, or they go too far with the children.
Yeah.
But they're working on that now to try to make it more sensible when they ask questions.
Well, yeah.
I'm going to just interrupt really quick. Can we let her do her presentation?
Yes.
We will do the question and answer at the end. That way we can bring the mic around so everybody can hear, because it's hard to remember to repeat everything, and if you say a lot, it's hard to remember everything you've asked. So let's wait for questions till the end, okay?
Okay. So just getting back on track here. Let's see if I can do this without actually putting my readers back on. Okay, so we covered a lot about this, just examples of ways that AI can be used to simplify the complex, essentially. Be a second set of eyes and make some recommendations for maybe questions that you should be asking. I mean, AI is not an attorney. It's not great. It should not be used to give you it should not be used to be the deciding factor in anything. Like, yes or no, should I go with this insurance company? Yes or no, should I hire this roofing contractor? That's what our friends and our network are for, to be those sounding boards and other people in our lives. But it can certainly be used to ask the right questions and maybe give us ideas and things that we should bring up with folks. So this was another example that I had mentioned too, was just using AI to review contracts or agreements. I have some examples here of whether it's a lease or a home repair contract. But again, be careful obviously with any document or information that might have your personal information on it, with sharing that with AI. And again, AI is not perfect. AI should not be, AI, my goodness, should not be used to make big money decisions. An answer that AI gives you should not be, the last word in anything. Okay, fun time. Real or fake?
Yes.
Okay, so the dog picture, real or fake? Good job.
Why? Never.
Okay, the cow. Real? Yes, very good.
How do you know the dog?
How could you tell that we can't hear it?
Oh, okay. So people thought that the dog was fake. Okay, and the dog is fake. Well, the dog's not fake. The dog's mine. His name is Chewy. I know, he's perfect. But anyway, he's the best behaved family member in our household. So I uploaded a picture of him to ChatGPT. And I asked ChatGPT, why am I saying these things out loud when I could actually just show you? So I uploaded this picture to ChatGPT of him, and I said, can you put a stick in the dog's mouth and place him in the woods?
Wow.
And they gave me that. I know. So this is the fun part about AI, right? I mean, who doesn't like creating these fun things? And I mean, there's other functional ways to use it as well that I'll be sharing also. But even AI in I know again I'm going to be talking specifically to the iPhone users here, but whenever you're taking photos and you have this perfect picture, their smiles are great, but you have something in the background that's super annoying and you just wish you could remove it. Well, now, there's AI, again, it's AI functionality in photos that allow you to remove those background items, which is fantastic. So there's a lot of ways that AI has just infiltrated our lives. Okay, sorry, so back to real or fake. Okay, so you all nailed that. Okay, next one, super obvious. At least I'm going to hope you all know who Bob Barker is. Okay. And do you all know who the gentleman in the other picture is? Leonardo DiCaprio, right. So again, these are photos that I found just kind of combing the internets. And but I mean, this is AI. You can generate the silliest photos, and in these cases, it seems like it's harmless, right? It seems like it's not necessarily nefarious. But whenever we're fed a lot of these, like if I don't know if many of you are using social media. So if you're on Facebook, for instance. There's a tremendous amount of videos and photos that you're seeing whenever you're scrolling through, because now our feeds are full of not just the stuff that the people that we intentionally connect with share. Now we're seeing things that we're being targeted for because they can tell what kind of things we like to see. I've watched way too many guinea pig videos, and guess what? Now all I see are guinea pigs. So that's what social media does with us. And so it's hard to discern anymore now whenever you're scrolling through social media, what's really real, what's fake. And sometimes it might seem harmless, but it's really distorting our reality. Okay, so here's one that's a little nefarious. So in instance 2, this particular picture, I remember circulating shortly after a hurricane. I don't know if it was the major ones a year or two ago that swept through like parts of North Carolina and decimated areas of Florida. And so then I start to see this photo, and people are immediately raising the red flags of this is AI, don't fall for it, because it was a scam. People using photos like this as a way to pull people in to donate for hurricane relief fundraisers. So again, the darker side of AI is now it's easier to fool us, unfortunately, by creating photos like this that tug on our heartstrings. And people can get even more suave by creating videos that look like this as well. So it's tough. Now the other photo, gosh, I wish I still look like that. is an old family photo of mine, and I joke that I feel like it is a little artificial intelligence because normally my kids are not that well behaved or smiley, but and these are also the ones that are 19 and 17 now, so completely different humans. So this is actually what they look like now. So my kids, and what I asked AI to do was I had 2 separate photos of them, and I wanted AI to combine them, like they took a picture together. And I think it did a pretty good job.
Yes.
You know, it did a decent job. And actually, whenever I did this originally, so you can see I uploaded the 2 separate pictures, said please add my daughter to the photo with my son. Make it look like they are naturally standing together. And it actually returned 2 different options for me. I didn't even ask that, but it did, which was a little helpful. So and actually the first one that it returned, what I loved is that it noticed that my daughter didn't have shoes on, so it put shoes on her. It's like, well, that's super helpful. And then the other one is just the one that I ended up going with. So, because I thought she just looked a little bit more like herself, and I cropped her feet out so you couldn't see it. Standing barefoot. But again, that's a helpful way too, you know, because real life scenario, you take a picture at Christmas with the majority of your family, but you got that one cousin that's not there. If you want to put that cousin in the photo later, guess what? You can. You can even slap a Christmas sweater on him too if you want. So, you know, AI's got a lot of fun ways to potentially, you know, use it in your life. Got to make this nice and big. All right, so what happened is, in case you're not all aware, I did actually come here with a colleague of mine, Mark Preby, who's sitting over there in the corner, far, far away from me so he can judge silently. But this was at a company Christmas party that we had, I think just this last year, and I evidently left my phone unattended. So in doing so, he decided it would be super cool to just take some selfies. This is one of the selfies that he took on my phone, so now I'm using it against him. I felt it was only fair. So another way that you can use AI is you can take something that's still, you know, a picture, and animate it. You can upload it to AI platforms. Now, ChatGPT doesn't necessarily do this, but there's other platforms out there that does have this functionality where it can now turn a photo into a quick video. You can even select the voices that you want if you want that person to say something. So that's what happened.
Barbara, come on down. It's time for you to play The Price is Right.
Oh, it's a good time. So, I mean, you can tell just watching that video, I mean, it was really quick, so it was probably hard to pick up on, but there's obviously tells that that's not his voice and that that's not a real video, because you can tell, like, his mouth wasn't actually saying all of those words. You know, it didn't look like, you know, he was saying everything that the voice was. But again, another use for AI.
Play it one more time so they can see that.
Oh, sure. I'll play it a dozen more.
Barbara, come on down. It's time for you to play The Price is Right.
Oh, that's fantastic. I actually tried making that video the first time, and it put a woman's voice. I won't pull that one up, but it is funnier. You're just trying to get me fired. All right, I think that might be, oh, nope, we got it. Oh, the bummer part of this, safety rules. So again, I kind of covered this ground already. So good and bad people use AI. And there's so many other tools out there. I mean, there's scammers out there now, right? There's been scammers out there for forever, you know. But now they have more tools at their disposal. And it's scary. It's scary what's possible. It's scary that they can make videos that look like our loved ones. It's scary that they can make voice recordings that sound like our loved ones. And to be fair and honest, it's not that difficult for people to gain access to that kind of information. On social media, we post videos all the time of, we post videos of our kids. We post videos of events that we're at, so they can hear the voices of, my son, grandkids. They can hear those voices, and they can use those voice clips to then make things that sound like that loved one. So it really is terrifying. I mean, I think the biggest safety tips I can give in instances where you're not sure about something you're seeing or hearing is to try not to panic. And I say that, but I know it's hard to do whenever you're in that moment. But trying not to panic, slow down, and actually talk to family members. Actually call the person you think you're hearing, to actually reach out to people to find out if something is really true. So turning to your network first before hitting the panic button, because there are so many opportunities, unfortunately, now and AI's made it just that much easier. So again, a lot of the same stuff about just not sharing certain information with folks. It should never replace the counsel of our own friends and family and being able to turn to them. And even whenever it comes to maybe downloading apps, trying it out for the first time, I'd suggest doing that with somebody as well. Maybe doing that with somebody that has had experience using it in the past. Whether it's staffers here or whether it's family members of yours, trying it out a few times with the help of somebody else. Okay, so I have more to share before we actually get to questions, so pause, please. Okay. So another thing that I just wanted to do was maybe actually have like a real example here. And I cheated by writing out the prompts already, so I wouldn't actually have to do it in real time, and you'd be able to see all of my typos. All right. Chewy. All right, so I'm asking ChatGPT, using this picture of my dog, remove the harness on him and replace it with a life jacket and create a picture like he's sitting on the end of a canoe in the middle of a lake. I haven't tested this out to see what's going to happen, so you're going to experience it with me. It can't be that bad, right? But sometimes it does take a while to generate, so it's good to kind of experience this. It's not instant. A lot of the text answers that we're maybe asking of AI, like if we're just asking it a question or something along those lines, that's always returned pretty darn fast. So fast it's almost scary, because considering like the very detailed answer that it gives sometimes. But it's not unusual whenever working with pictures, for instance, for it to take a while to generate.
I believe that's where the subscriptions come in that will produce it quicker too.
That's a possibility.
It is.
Yeah, that's very much a possibility. I mean, I think, and I'm sure there's a lot of improvements too. Like in free accounts, there might be limits to the number of uploads that you could do. like the number of uploads each day that it would allow you. It's not like you can upload 100 pictures to it. It probably caps it at a certain point with a free account, for example. But I mean, it is relatively quick. While that's generating, I'm going to move on. I mean, we were talking about too just some other things that where AI gets it wrong, right? So this was literally an article that I just happened to come across this morning, whenever I was looking at some headlines, and it was police, trying to use AI in face recognition, and unfortunately they arrested the wrong woman. And it was somebody that was suspected of fraud in North Dakota. This woman had never even been to North Dakota in her entire life. She lived in Tennessee. But this AI face recognition matched it to her, and turned out this poor woman was like detained at a jail for like 2 or 3 months. Yeah, but before she was, finally released, and they realized that they had the wrong person. But I mean, it's, again, far from perfect. There's a lot of room for improvement in how AI is being used. All right, let's see if my dog's up yet. Okay, not yet. All right, let's move on to some fun videos. So this is again, the heart-jerking kind of video that you might see on social media. Obviously, I found this one on Facebook, but AI generated. This is a woman kind of talking about. Unfortunately, wait, maybe I just unmute it.
And this one. Is this Christmas painting real? It's AI, but it's still a painting. Can you guess what's real? And what's AI? Is this square real or is it AI? It's real. See if you can guess what's real. And what's AI? Which Christmas ball do you think is AI? It's this one. And this one. Is this?
Yeah, so just some examples. This one too, I mean, totally AI generated, but it looks so real. It's amazing the amount of detail. I mean, even with the dust being kicked up like around the animals, but again, AI. I see these all around constantly.
Just follow after me.
Okay, first of all, nobody is that in sync. This one I found a little entertaining. It's just going around and getting videos and pictures with all of these basketball stars. But looks very real. A very young Pippin and Jordan. I mean, who doesn't love some deer on some trampolines? But I've seen this with like bunnies that have gotten on trampolines and raccoons that have gotten on trampolines. This squirrel I've got to turn up. Anyway, sorry, I'm way too amused by that. Okay, my dog, I swear, is never going to. Okay. Yay! I mean, not perfect, but not bad either, right? And I think it would pass.
Yeah.
So again, another fun way to use AI. And this was a video too that we found that just kind of demonstrates again, ways that people are using AI to just completely swap out objects that they're holding. Like this one woman you'll see, she's actually holding a potato, but she can turn it into a microphone. She can turn it into a purse. She turns it into all of these things, and it looks very natural in her videos.
Some of it will be obvious, other parts not so much. For example, I really am in Los Angeles. With this Hollywood sign, it's AI. And the creators you're about to hear from will show you how they're able to do AI generations like this and so much more in hopes you can be better at detecting what's real and what's not. On a grocery run in San Diego,
No potatoes.
No potatoes.
Madeline Salazar has a short shopping list.
Actually, I want to get a few.
She's not going to eat them, at least not right now.
Which purse is real? This one's a potato. This one's Coach.
Why a potato?
The potato was just a very easy thing to hold and to motion track, and people thought it was really funny, so I've leaned into it, and now I pretty much have a potato with me wherever I go.
Our tax experts keep more
All right,
money
nobody
in your
needs to listen to
business,
commercials.
so you have more time for your business.
Yeah.
Madeline goes, whether it's overseas or in her own living room. She's creating videos like these.
In this video, see if you can tell what's real and what's AI. Thanks, Marissa. My format is this real or is this AI? And I put one real thing next to an AI generated image.
How successful are your real or AI videos?
1 to 15 million views for most of them.
Per video.
Per video. Is this a real ship?
Madeline says that tells her people have an appetite to learn about AI. So she's teaching them.
This is how I used AI to make it look like I'm riding a horse. Step 1, I generate still images of me riding a horse.
Madeline walks us through the program she uses, like Adobe's Firefly, and the prompts she gives it.
I take a still from my video, bring that into Photoshop.
All right, now you can tell just by the amount of steps that she's walking through, she's a little bit more skilled than the majority of us using AI. So she's definitely using more advanced tools than what the average AI user is using. But it does show you what folks with a little bit of motivation and access to these kinds of tools could potentially generate and share online, or whether it's for our entertainment or for other things. So I won't go too much into this, but it was very entertaining to see all of the differences. Something too that's out there, we were talking about, like the voice simulators. So this one is one that's a little bit more simplistic, where you can type something in that you might want AI to read, and you can select from different like canned voice options that are on there. So you're not necessarily uploading a voice sample for it to use a relative's voice or a friend's voice. You're just picking from some of the examples it has, but you can really type anything in and
Welcome to the Soprema Senior Center. Today we'll be talking about AI and how to use it for everyday life and for fun. Okay. Welcome to the...
Okay, so essentially I wanted to sound like a game show host. So that's what I was going for whenever I selected that particular voice. So I mean, those are some examples of how to potentially like use AI for fun, for your own personal benefit, things that it could potentially make a little bit easier in your life. If you're looking for just some help in boiling things down. I know I often use AI as just like an alternative to a search engine. I'll use AI to, show me, maybe different companies that perform X or that do X in an area, and see what it comes back with. I'm in marketing, right? So I work for a marketing company, and we're hired by other businesses to help them grow their business, to help them find more customers, and for them to get even better. So I'll use AI to just research what our customers do. So I have a better understanding of them, and so I can be honestly just smarter when I'm talking with them and ask them the right questions whenever I'm on the phone with them. So those are some of the ways that I'm using AI for myself professionally. So there's a lot of ways that it can be used to just kind of help you in everyday life. All right, so now we're going to get to questions.
If you have a question, raise your hand and I'll come with the microphone so that everybody can hear it. Okay, we'll start back here.
I have 3 daughters, and this was just so funny, something that my daughter did that I thought I would share. I have twins and an older daughter, and so one of my twins went in and put in all kinds of stuff that they did to each other when they were young. And then she asked it to write a song. And so she was playing this. It's hilarious because it was all this honoriness of things they did to each other, facts that they did to each other. And now it's in this song version, and we just all died. It was so funny.
Anybody else back here as I work my way around? Did you have one, Beth? Aggie?
If AI is on your phone and you didn't put it there, can you get rid of it? Is one question. And I think, did I hear this wrong? That treat it I guess if you don't want it, you can either spam it or block it. Can you do that?
If you have like some kind of, obviously anything that's downloaded on your phone like an app, that's easy to remove. Deleting the app, removes it. If it's something maybe native to the phone, like if it's just naturally on the phone, it's a standard. I think of even like Siri on an iPhone. You can likely go into your settings and disable it. Because I know I've had issues with Siri even working on my phone before, and I've had to troubleshoot it. So I'm sure it's possible to disable pretty much anything that would be kind of native on your phone.
Okay, who else has a question? I know they're out here. Don't be shy.
So how do you upload data, and does it have to be on the same device or the same network?
Okay, so give me an example of data that you might be referring to.
A photograph that you have on your phone and you want to put it on something on the computer or someplace else.
Okay. That makes sense. So if you're using ChatGPT, but you're using it on like maybe a tablet or a laptop like I am, that is kind of what I had to do because I had a lot of photos on my phone, for instance. So I had to send those photos to, what I did is I sent all of those photos to my work email. So that I was then able to use my kind of laptop platform to upload images and that sort of thing. Now everything is obviously doable on your phone because you can download a ChatGPT app, so you'd be able to open it just like any other application like Facebook. You'd be able to open ChatGPT on your phone, and then it would be on the same platform as the majority of your photos. So you'd be able to upload them that way, for instance.
And documents would have to be also on the same device?
Yes, you would need to find a way to transfer them if they weren't already. So it's obviously easy if maybe if you need to pull something, like if I've got to log into my chart, I'll log into my chart on my computer if I'm wanting to use AI on that same platform. Or if I'll log into my email, if I know there's a document attached to one of my emails that I want to maybe download or copy and paste a portion of to put into AI to say, please explain this to me in simple language. So yes, it's a lot easier if everything is on the same platform that you're using.
My second question is, what is the purpose of data centers and why do people not want them in their neighborhoods?
This one might be a little bit above my pay grade, but I'm going to give it a shot anyway. I mean, well, one, data centers are enormous. You know, they are large buildings, could be a potential eyesore, but a lot of maybe the negative kickback I'm hearing online is predominantly related to power usage, predominantly related to just what it's using in resources in different cities and areas, and people being concerned that that's going to hurt their own, you know, utilities, that's going to impact their bills, that it's going to impact, you know, their ability to get the amount of usage that they need. That's the majority of maybe the negative feedback I'm hearing related to data centers.
So are they basically the cloud?
I mean, yes, they're essentially just, you know, buildings of computers that are used to power the big data companies like Meta, which, you know, controls Facebook and Instagram, like Google, like Amazon, all of those using a tremendous amount of data and information and AI in order to function. And now all of these AI platforms. Yes.
Where do you think all this is going to lead to, and is everybody controlling it?
Well, yes, so similar to the questions that you had, and really concerns, is that I think there's a lot of areas of technology that are right now predominantly self-policed. And there just aren't a lot of guardrails right now on AI. It is really something that is, at the moment, being kind of self-dictated by the businesses that have it. There aren't really a tremendous amount of rules in what it can be used for, what it can't be used for, and so it's really left up to the users themselves to really police and monitor that type of usage. I would hope, or I have to believe that, you know, that there will be obviously more as time goes on. AI has changed even so much, even just in 2 years. It's gotten so much smarter. It's gotten more sophisticated. Its capabilities have expanded greatly in a very short period of time. It's so hard to even guess where AI could possibly be in even just another year because it's growing and changing at such a rapid pace. So I don't know necessarily where it's going, but it's not going away. That's for sure. And I would hope that there's going to be maybe a little bit more guardrails in it, you know, to protect kids, as you mentioned, because it can be used the same way it can as adults, whether that's good or bad. But we see that already on social media, that not enough is being done on those platforms really to maybe guard or protect minors. Because the fact of the matter is everybody lies. We can all lie. We can all lie about our age. We can all lie about any of that might normally block us from accessing content on certain sites. But it's not that hard to get around those, it's not really hard to get around those walls. And sometimes it's even, guardian or parent assisted or an older sibling that helps people out. So I would hope that there are some protections and rules put in place, but they're not a lot right now.
Hello, Beth.
Hi.
Thanks for being here. We appreciate you. We're working on developing a network. We're called the Faithful Fishermen.
Mm-hmm.
And we're going to be sharing our fishing experience and what little bit we know about God. And we're building a network right now, and the AI has helped us out quite a bit. I'll try to see, I got to read everything. I'm really slow. So would you have any idea what the simplest mobile apps for editing phone footage with AI clips might be? I know that would probably be a challenge. I'm still working on that.
They're video clips.
Yes.
I'm going to phone a friend. Do you have any idea?
Canva does a pretty good job.
Oh, Canva. Have you ever heard of Canva? Okay, so we use Canva to. It's a relatively user-friendly, like art creator. So it helps you create like a flyer or like a graphic or image that you might want to create for social media. But it can also be used to create video. So that might be the easiest way if you had like 3 or 4 clips that you wanted to put together, to be able to upload all of those and piece them together with maybe some transitions that makes it look as natural as possible. And it would allow you to kind of shorten them if you wanted to. So, yeah.
That picture of your dog. That picture of your dog, how would I know? Is there anything on that picture that would tell me that's AI generated?
No, they don't come watermarked, so it's not like there's a way for somebody to necessarily track back that it was AI generated. Quite frankly, I haven't scrutinized necessarily the information related to a photo I might download, because from here I can download this image, save it to my phone or to my laptop once I've created it. And quite frankly, I haven't looked at the information related to that photo to see if it tells you, because if you look at the information related to a photo you take, you can see like the timestamp. For instance, you can see the date and time that photo was taken, how large the file is, that kind of thing. There might be some information related to this once I download it that might tell me. But
Well, I'm just saying,
but if you're just looking at it, no.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody
Right.
that's not real knowledgeable in anything looks at that, how would I know that that's not
Right.
dog's not on that water?
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah. So I mean, imagine how difficult it is. I mean, more than likely there would have to be some kind of electronic signature in the information related to the file, because otherwise, I mean, nobody'd win a photo contest anymore. I mean, because how would you be able to tell whether it was AI generated or real? I mean, some of the most beautiful photos I see anymore, I'm immediately skeptical, and I hate that. I mean, I was already pretty much a cynic, but even worse now. Whenever I see anything, because it's like, okay, that looks way too good to be real. That has to be AI. There's no way that exists in nature. So, and sometimes it does, and I'm pleasantly surprised.
Hi. Recently, when I went to the doctor's office, just from a regular office, they had a little sign there now that says, we'll be using AI, as far as, I guess, to help him process or put together the whole thing. But of course they said, if you don't want to,
right.
But yeah, because that's my concern. It's like, okay, well, you're sitting there discussing problems, and you just kind of like add on another problem or something.
Yeah. Well, so it's a note taker. What they're essentially asking your permission for is to be able to record the conversation so that they can likely use a note taker to summarize that appointment. I know we use those professionally all the time. So we're having conversations with our clients, and they always know, they know in advance that there's a note taker there that's being used. But it's an assistant so that we don't miss something during the conversation, so that we don't miss something important that one of our clients has told us, and because we don't want to look like fools if we forget and ask them the same question again. So that's likely what they're using. Flip side, I've done that to physicians. So I have gone to appointments, like the ones where I accompanied my mom, and I used a recorder that was on my phone. So I had an app on my phone that was a voice recorder, and I started it. I knew the appointment was going to be important. I knew it was going to be long, and I knew I was going to forget stuff. So I recorded the conversation. I was able to upload that audio file to ChatGPT and then ask it to essentially summarize that appointment, tell me what the main takeaway should be, and tell me what are the big things that we need to remember, what are the big decisions that were made that day, what are the takeaways, and when we talk to the doctor next, what should we ask him? So that's because you can upload audio files to ChatGPT. It's one of the many formats you can upload to it. And so I've kind of reversed it on them a time or two as well. But that's essentially why the physician asks.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions?
Are chats AI generated?
Oh, yes. Well, not all of them, but a lot of them are these days. So if you're ever doing, like if you're on somebody's website and darn it, you just want to cancel your subscription and you're on a live chat with them, or you want to know the status of your order or something along those lines, and you start a live chat, many of them have gone to AI-generated answers. It's not until you've probably been chatting with them back and forth without any kind of question resolution that they might kick it then to a live human, and it normally prompts you. It normally tells you that you are now being transferred to a live human being to better answer your question, because that's being used as kind of the front line, and it's annoying. It's really annoying. I mean, I completely agree, because it's not even just in like live chats on a computer. It's the voice automated attendants now as well. It's the ones that are trying to answer the simplest questions first in the hopes that it's going to maybe satisfy the large majority maybe of the inquiries coming in with some very frequently asked questions and the canned answers that it's prepared to give. But if it's more complex and needs a live human, then it will eventually, you will eventually get there, hopefully. But it is really annoying.
Many times when you're talking to these companies, you think, is AI always going to be in English, or because a lot of times you'll be talking and you don't quite understand what they're saying, you don't understand, you know what I mean?
Well,
is it English?
Well, likely if you are actually talking to somebody, if you're actually hear a voice that's not just like a typed answer that you're getting back, but it's a voice, it probably is an English speaking person. You might eventually get transferred to a live human that might be at a call center in another country where English is not their first language, and that could very well happen. But more than likely, if you're hearing a voice on the other end that sounds like I do, for instance, just less cussing, then yes, I mean that could be AI.
Just a comment back to the doctor's offices. This is from someone's personal experience. When you get your visit summary or your notes from the doctor, double check it, because something was added into her chart that she called the doctor's office on and said, I did not say that.
Ooh.
This was not how it happened. Are you using AI? And they said yes. And she says, I want that record changed. So you have to be careful, especially with medical things.
I think we're going to wrap it up. Let's give Beth a big round of applause. And we thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely.